The Valari diplomatic station floated in the darkness of space like a giant silver flower. It was the meeting place for dozens of alien species. They came here to trade, to talk, and to make deals. The station was neutral ground. No wars were allowed here. No fighting. Just business and diplomacy. Park Doyen was a human engineer who worked on this station. He was 32 years old, with black hair and tired eyes. He fixed things. Pipes, machines, power systems. Whatever broke, Doyen made it work again. It was simple work, but honest work. Humans were new to space. They had only been traveling between stars for about 50 years. Most alien species looked down on them. To the older civilizations, humans were like children, young, weak, emotional, not worth much attention. Doyen did not mind. He kept his head down and did his job. He sent money back to his mother on Earth. He ate alone in the cafeteria. He slept in his small room. Life was quiet. He liked it that way. But everything changed on a warm evening in the station's garden. The garden was the most beautiful place on the station. It had plants from 100 different worlds, flowers that glowed blue, trees with silver leaves, a small river that made soft sounds as it flowed over smooth stones. Doyen liked to sit there after work. It reminded him of Earth. That evening, he was sitting on a bench when he saw her for the first time. She was tall and beautiful in a way that did not seem real. Her skin was pale, almost white. Her hair was silver, falling past her shoulders like water. Her eyes were violet, bright and sharp. She wore a simple white dress, but something about the way she moved told Doyen that she was important. She was looking at a small flower. It was a rose from Earth, red and simple. Doyen watched her bend down and touch the petals with her long fingers. She looked confused, like she did not understand what she was seeing. He should have stayed quiet. He should have walked away. But something made him speak. "It is called a rose," he said. The woman turned to look at him. Her violet eyes studied him for a long moment. Doyen felt his heart beat faster. He had never seen anyone so beautiful. "A rose," she repeated. Her voice was soft and musical. "Why does it have thorns?" Doyen stood up and walked closer. "To protect itself. The flower is soft and easy to hurt. The thorns keep it safe." The woman tilted her head. "That is strange. Why would something beautiful need protection?" "Because beautiful things are often the most fragile," Doyen said. The woman looked at him with new interest. "You are human, yes. I have read about your species. You are very young, very emotional." "That is what everyone says," Doyen replied with a small smile. "Is it true?" Doyen thought about the question. "We feel things deeply. Happiness, sadness, love, fear. Sometimes it makes us weak, but sometimes it makes us strong." The woman was quiet for a moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. It was a small smile, but it changed her whole face. She looked less like a statue and more like a person. "I am Leary," she said. "Doyen. Park Doyen. It is nice to meet you, Park Doyen." That was how it began. Over the next few weeks, Doyen kept meeting Leary in the garden. At first, he thought it was an accident, but soon he realized she was coming to find him. She had questions. So many questions. She wanted to know about Earth. What did the sky look like at sunset? What was the ocean? Why did humans cry when they were sad and also when they were happy? What was music? What was love? Doyen answered as best as he could. He told her about cherry blossoms in spring, about the sound of rain on a roof, about his grandmother's cooking, about sitting on the beach and watching the waves. Leary listened to everything. Her violet eyes never left his face. She seemed hungry for his words. It's like someone who had been thirsty for a very long time. One evening, Doyen finally asked the question that had been bothering him. "Leary, who are you?" "Really?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at the artificial stars above the garden. "I am the princess of the Valari Empire," she said softly. "The only heir to the throne? I have lived for 400 years. I have seen stars born and die. I have read every book in our great libraries. I have learned everything my people know." She turned to look at him. Her eyes were sad. But I have never felt anything. My people do not feel emotions like humans do. We removed them from ourselves long ago. We thought emotions were weakness. We thought they held us back. And now? Doyan asked. Now, I am not so sure. She reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers were cool. When I am with you, I feel something. I do not know what it is, but it is warm, like your son. Doyan felt his chest tighten. Leery. Do not worry, she said quickly. I know this is strange. A princess and a human engineer, it makes no sense. But I do not want to make sense anymore. I just want to feel. From that night on, they met every evening. Doyan taught her about human music. He played old songs on his phone and watched her close her eyes and listen. He taught her about human food and brought her chocolate, which made her eyes go wide with surprise. He taught her about hope, about dreams, about the stubborn human belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. And slowly, Leary began to change. She smiled more. She laughed sometimes, a sound like silver bells. She started to speak in ways that were less formal, more natural. She was becoming more human, but others were watching. The Valari High Council had eyes everywhere. They saw their princess spending time with a human. A primitive nobody. They did not like it. A princess of the Valari Empire could not form attachments to inferior species. It was dangerous. It was improper. It could cause problems. Doyan did not know about any of this. He only knew that for the first time in his life, he had found someone who understood him. Someone who saw him not as a simple engineer, but as something more. 3 months passed. 3 wonderful months. Then one night Doyan was called to a private meeting. A Valari official gave him a data chip and told him to read it alone. The official's face was cold. His eyes held a warning. That night, in his small room, Doyan read the files on the chip. His hands began to shake. His face went pale. The files contained secret communications from the Valari High Council. They were planning something terrible. Some wanted to harvest Earth for resources. Others wanted to make humans into servants. But the worst part was about Leary. The council knew about her feelings for Dojan. They were going to use it against her. If the princess showed any more attachment to the human, they would declare her unfit to rule. They would remove her from power. And then they would do whatever they wanted to Earth. Doyan sat in the darkness for a long time. He thought about Leary's smile, about her laugh, about the way she looked at him like he was the most interesting thing in the universe. If he stayed, he would destroy her. He would destroy his own people. Everything he loved would burn because of him. There was only one choice, before the station's morning lights came on. Doyan packed a small bag. He deleted his files. He wiped his records. He boarded a small transport ship. He did not say goodbye. He could not. If he saw her face, he would not be able to leave. As the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Doyan looked back at the station one last time. Somewhere in there, Leary was sleeping. She did not know that her world was about to change. His destination was Earth, his home. The only place he could disappear? He closed his eyes and tried not to cry. Humans were emotional creatures. Sometimes that made them weak. But sometimes, like now, it gave them the strength to do impossible things, even if it broke their hearts. Princess. Leary woke up with a strange feeling in her chest. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones, in her 2 hearts that beat together like drums. She got dressed quickly and went to the garden. The bench where Doyan always waited was empty. The rose he loved to look at swayed in the artificial wind, but there was no human sitting beside it. She waited for an hour, then 2 hours, then 3. He did not come. Leary walked to Doyan's quarters. She knocked on the door. No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. She used her authority as princess to open the door. It slid open with a soft sound. The room was empty. Not just empty of Doyan. Empty of everything. His clothes were gone. His pictures were gone. His small collection of Earth's objects was gone. Even the blanket he always kept on his chair was missing. Leary stood in the middle of the empty room. Her chest felt tight. Her eyes burned. She did not understand what was happening to her body. She had never felt anything like this before. Where is he? She whispered to the empty room. She searched everywhere. She checked the station records. His name had been deleted. She asked the other workers. They said they did not know anyone called Park Do-yoon. It was like he had never existed. Finally, she found one small piece of information. A transport log that someone had forgotten to delete. It showed that a small ship had left the station during the night. Its destination was Earth. Earth. He had gone back to Earth. Leary returned to her royal quarters. She sat on her bed and stared at the wall. For 400 years, she had never cried. Her people had removed that ability long ago. But now, something wet rolled down her cheek. Then another drop. Then another. She was crying. For the first time in her life, she was crying. Her advisors came to see her. They told her to forget about the human. He was nothing. A primitive creature from a young world. She was a princess of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. She should not waste her thoughts on someone so small. But Leary could not forget. Every night, she dreamed of Do-yeon's smile. Every morning, she looked for him in the garden. Every moment, she felt the empty space where he used to be. Months passed. Leary tried to return to her normal life. She attended meetings. She studied reports. She did everything a princess was supposed to do. But inside, she felt hollow. Like someone had taken a piece of her and thrown it across the stars. 1 year went by. Then 2 years. Then 3. On the night of the 3rd anniversary of Do-yeon's disappearance, Leary made a decision. She was going to find him. Her advisors said it was madness. Earth was far away. Humans were primitive. It was beneath her dignity to chase after a man who had clearly left her. But Leary did not care about dignity anymore. She cared about answers. She needed to know why he had left. She needed to understand. Preparing for the journey was not easy. The Valari did not have official contact with Earth. Humans were considered too young and unimportant for diplomacy. Leary would have to go in secret. She would have to disguise herself as a human and blend in with their society. She studied everything she could about Earth. She learned about their languages, their customs, their food, their clothes. She practiced walking like a human, talking like a human, smiling like a human. It was difficult. Humans did so many strange things with their faces. She dyed her silver hair black. She put special lenses over her violet eyes to make them look brown. She wore simple human clothes. When she looked in the mirror, she almost did not recognize herself. A small Valari scout ship took her to the edge of Earth's solar system. From there, she used a shuttle to land on the planet's surface. She chose a place called Korea, because that was where Do-yeon had come from. Her first steps on Earth were overwhelming. The planet was loud. So loud, there were machines everywhere making noise. People shouted, laughed, argued, sang. Music poured out of buildings. Cars honked their horns. Children screamed with joy in parks. It was chaos. Beautiful, wonderful chaos. Leary walked through the streets of Seoul with wide eyes. Everything was so colorful, so alive. Her homeworld was clean and quiet and perfect. But this place was messy and loud and imperfect. And somehow that made it more real. She saw humans doing the strangest things. A man was standing on a corner playing music on a small guitar. People threw money into a hat at his feet. A group of young women were taking pictures of themselves and laughing. An old couple sat on a bench holding hands and watching the world go by. Leary stopped to watch the old couple. They looked so peaceful, so content. The woman leaned her head on the man's shoulder. The man kissed the top of her head. This was love, real love. The kind Do-yeon had tried to explain to her. She understood now why humans held on to their emotions. Emotions were not weakness. They were strength. They were the thing that made life worth living. but she did not have time to watch. She had to find Duhian. Using her hidden technology, Leary searched through Earth's databases. It was not easy. Humans had strange ways of organizing information. But slowly, she began to find traces of him. He had returned to Korea 3 years ago. He had lived in Seoul for a few months. Then he had moved to a smaller place, a town by the sea called Sako. Leary took a bus to Sako. The journey took several hours. She sat by the window and watched the Korean countryside pass by. Mountains covered with green trees. Rivers flowing through valleys. Small villages with old houses. It was beautiful in a simple way. Sako was a small town on the east coast of Korea. The air smelled like salt and fish. Fishing boats floated in the harbor. Old men sat on the docks fixing their nets. It was quiet and peaceful, very different from the busy streets of Seoul. Leary found a small hotel and rented a room. The woman at the front desk was kind and smiled at her. Leary tried to smile back, but she was not sure if she did it right. Human faces were so complicated. For the next few days, Leary searched the town. She walked every street. She visited every shop. She looked at every face. But she did not find Doyeon. On the 4th day, someone told her about a man who worked at a fishing company near the harbor. He was quiet and kept to himself. He was not from Sako originally. He had arrived about 3 years ago. Leary's 2 hearts began to beat faster. She went to the harbor at sunset. The sky was painted with colors. Orange and pink and purple, all mixed together like paint on water. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She walked along the beach, looking for him. The sand was soft under her feet. The waves made gentle sounds as they touched the shore. Seagulls called out above her head. Then she saw him. He was sitting alone on a large rock, looking out at the sea. His hair was longer than she remembered. His shoulders looked tired. He was thinner than before, but it was him. It was Doyeon. Leary stopped walking. Her legs felt weak. Her eyes filled with water again. 3 years. 3 years of wondering. 3 years of waiting. And now he was right there, only a few steps away. She wanted to run to him. She wanted to hold him. But she also felt anger rising in her chest. He had left her. He had disappeared without a word. He had broken something inside her that she did not know could break. She took a deep breath and walked toward him. Her feet left prints in the wet sand. The sun was sinking lower, making the water glow like fire. When she was close enough, she spoke. Her voice was quiet, but it carried across the evening air. "Why did you leave me, human?" Doyeon's body went stiff. He turned slowly. When he saw her face, all the color drained from his skin. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Leary," he finally whispered. How did you find me?" She stood before him, her disguised brown eyes meeting his tired ones. The wind blew her black hair across her face. She pushed it away. "You taught me about hope," she said. Her voice cracked. "Did you think I would not come?" Doyeon stood up from the rock. He looked at her like he was seeing a ghost, like he could not believe she was real. "You should not be here," he said. His voice was rough. "It is not safe. You need to go back." "No." Leary stepped closer. "I will not leave until you tell me the truth. I deserve that much." The sun touched the horizon. The sky burned with color. And on that small beach at the edge of the world, 2 people from different stars faced each other at last. Doyeon looked at her for a long moment. Then his shoulders fell. The fight went out of him. "Okay," he said softly. "I will tell you everything. But not here. Come with me." He started walking along the beach. Leary followed him. She did not know what answers waited for her. She did not know if they would bring peace or more pain, but at least she would finally know the truth. Doyeon lived in a small apartment above a noodle shop. The stairs were old and made creaking sounds under their feet. The hallway smelled like cooking in the sea. It was not the kind of place where a man who once worked among the stars should live. He opened the door and let Leary inside. The apartment was tiny. 1 room for everything. A bed in the corner, a small table with 2 chairs. A window that looked out at the ocean. The walls were bare except for one picture. It was a photograph of cherry blossoms. Leary remembered telling him about cherry blossoms. How she wanted to see them one day. "Please sit," Doyen said. His voice was tired. He pulled out a chair for her. Leary sat down. She watched him move around the small kitchen. He filled a kettle with water and put it on the stove. His hands were shaking. "Would you like tea?" he asked. "I did not come for tea, Doyen." He stopped moving. For a moment, he just stood there with his back to her. Then he turned around and sat in the other chair. He put his hands on the table. They were rough now, the hands of someone who worked with fish and rope and salt water. "I know," he said. "I know why you came. Then tell me." Leary's voice was steady, but inside she felt like a storm. "Tell me why you left. Tell me why you disappeared without a word. Tell me why you let me think that everything we had meant nothing to you." Doyen looked at her. His eyes were full of pain. The kind of pain that had been sitting in his chest for 3 years, getting heavier and heavier. "It meant everything to me," he said quietly. "That is why I had to leave. That makes no sense, I know. Let me explain." Took a deep breath. Then he began to tell her. "The night before I left, someone came to see me. A Valari official. I did not know his name. He gave me a data chip and told me to read it alone. He said my life depended on it. He said, your life depended on it." Leary felt cold. What was on the chip? Secret communications. From the High Council? From your own government? Doyen stood up and walked to the window. The moonlight made his face look pale and ghostly. "They have been watching you for a long time, Leary. They knew about us from the beginning. They knew about our meetings in the garden. They knew about the time we spent together. They knew everything." "It is not possible," Leary said. "I was careful. The Valari are always watching, especially the princess." Doyen turned to look at her, but watching was not enough for them. They had plans. Terrible plans. He walked back to the table and sat down again. His hands were still shaking. "There are different groups on your High Council, different factions. Some of them want to use Earth. They want to take our resources, our water, our minerals, our land. To them, humans are just animals living on a planet full of valuable things." Leary felt sick. She knew some members of the council had extreme views, but she never thought they would act on them. "There is another faction," Doyen continued. "They do not want to destroy Earth. They want to control it. They want to make humans into servants. A client species that works for the Valari Empire. Free labor for the rest of time." "That is slavery," Leary whispered. "Yes, it is." Silence filled the small room. The kettle began to whistle. Doyen got up and turned off the stove, but he did not make tea. He just stood there, staring at the wall. "But the worst part," he said, "was about you." Leary's hearts beat faster. "Me?" Doyen turned to face her. There were tears in his eyes. The different factions could not agree on what to do with Earth. They kept fighting with each other. Nothing was getting done. But then they found something they could all agree on. A common enemy. A weakness they could exploit. What weakness? "You? Your feelings for me?" Leary did not understand. "How could my feelings be a weakness?" "Because you are the heir to the throne," Doyen said. "You are the future of the Valari Empire. If you marry someone, that person becomes important. They gain power. They gain influence. And if that person is a human..." He stopped and took a shaky breath. "If that person is a human, it causes a crisis." The truth began to form in Leary's mind. It was ugly and cold and made her feel like she was falling. "They were going to use me against you," Doyen said. "If you showed more attachment to me, they would say you were unfit to rule. They would say your emotions had made you weak. They would remove you from power and put someone else on the throne, someone who would do whatever they wanted. And then they would be free to do anything to Earth." Leary finished. Yes, Leary sat very still. Her mind was racing. All this time, she had thought Doyen left because he did not care. Because she was not enough. Because humans were too different from Valari to love each other. But the truth was the opposite. He left because he cared too much, sacrificed everything, she said slowly. Your job, your future, us. You gave it all up to protect me. To protect your people, what else could I do? Doyen asked. His voice broke. If I stayed, they would destroy you. They would destroy Earth. Everything I loved would burn because of me. I am just one man, one small, unimportant human. But I could not let that happen. Why did you not tell me? Leary stood up. Her hands were shaking now too. Why did you not come to me with this information? We could have fought them together. We could have found another way. There was no time. They were watching every communication. If I tried to contact you, they would know. And there was another reason. He looked down at the floor. I thought you would be safer if you hated me. If you believed I abandoned you, you would move on. You would find someone else. Someone appropriate. Someone who would not put you in danger, you fool. Leary walked toward him. Her eyes were wet again. You stupid, wonderful, foolish human. She stood right in front of him, close enough to touch, close enough to feel the warmth coming from his body. I could never hate you, she said. I tried. Believe me, I tried. For 3 years I tried to forget you, but I could not. You are in my hearts, Doyen. You are in my blood. You are in every thought I have and every dream I dream. Doyen looked up at her. His face was wet with tears. I am sorry, he whispered. I am so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting you. You could have trusted me. I know. I know that now. But I was scared. Not for myself. For you. For Earth, for everyone. Leary reached out and took his hand. His fingers were cold. She held them tight. You did something very brave, she said. You chose to sacrifice yourself for others. You chose to carry this pain alone so that others would not suffer. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is the most human thing I have ever seen. I do not feel strong. I feel broken. Then let me help fix you. Leary squeezed his hand. Let me stay. Let me help. You do not have to be alone anymore. For a long moment, they just stood there. 2 people from different worlds. 2 hearts that had been torn apart and were now trying to find their way back together. The council will know you are here, Doyen said finally. They have spies everywhere. When they find out, let them find out. Larry's voice was hard. I am tired of hiding. I am tired of letting them control my life. If they want to fight, I will give them a fight. They are powerful. So am I. She looked into his eyes. And now I have something I did not have before. What is that? The truth, and something to fight for. Outside the window, the moon hung over the ocean like a silver coin. The waves kept their eternal rhythm, not caring about the troubles of humans and aliens. But in that small apartment, something had changed. The distance between 2 souls had finally closed. Doyen pulled Lyrie close and held her. She rested her head against his chest and listened to his single human heart beating. It sounded different from Valari hearts. Faster, warmer, more alive. I missed you, he whispered into her hair. I missed you too, she replied. They stood like that for a long time. The tea grew cold on the counter. The night grew deeper outside, but neither of them cared. For the first time in 3 years, they were together. And whatever came next, they would face it side by side. The war was coming. Leary knew that. The council would not let this stand. They would send ships. They would send soldiers. They would try to take back their princess and continue their plans for Earth. But they had made a mistake. They had underestimated her. They had underestimated humans. And most of all, they had underestimated what happens when you give someone a reason to fight. Leary had found her reason, and she was not going to let go. The days that followed were the happiest of Dojan's life. For the first time in 3 years, he did not wake up alone. Leary was there, sleeping beside him, her silver hair spread across the pillow like moonlight. She had stopped dyeing it black. She said she was tired of hiding. They spent their mornings walking on the beach. They watched the sun rise over the sea. They ate breakfast at the small noodle shop downstairs. The old woman who owned the shop thought Leary was strange but beautiful. She gave them extra food because she said Doya needed to gain weight. They spent their afternoons talking. Leary told him about the last 3 years, how she had searched for him, how she had cried for the first time, how she had learned what loneliness felt like. Doyan told her about his life in Sako, the fishing, the quiet nights, the emptiness that never went away. They spent their evenings watching the sunset. Every day, the sky painted itself in different colors: orange, pink, gold, purple. Leary said she had never seen anything so beautiful. Doyan said she was more beautiful, but they both knew this peace could not last. On the 7th day, the sky changed. Doyan was cooking dinner when Leary suddenly stopped moving. Her body went stiff. Her eyes turned distant. She was receiving a communication through the small device hidden behind her ear. "What is it?" Doyan asked. Leary's face was pale. "A Valari warship has entered Earth's solar system. They know I am here." Doyan felt his blood turn cold. He had known this would happen. He had hoped for more time, but he had known. "How long until they arrive?" "Hours, maybe less." They looked at each other across the small kitchen. 3 years apart, and now they might only have hours left together. "We need to run," Doyan said. "We can hide. I know places. Underground, they will not find us." "They will find us," Leary said. "Valari technology is advanced. They can track me anywhere on this planet. Running will only delay what is coming. Then what do we do?" Leary was quiet for a long moment. Then something changed in her eyes. The softness disappeared. In its place was steel. "We stop running," she said. "We stop hiding. We fight." "Fight? Against a warship?" "Leary, that is impossible. Not with weapons." She walked to the window and looked up at the sky. With truth. Over the next few hours, Leary worked on her plan. She used her hidden technology to connect to galactic communication networks. She gathered all the evidence she had about the Council's plans, the secret communications, the debates about harvesting Earth, the plans to remove her from power. "What are you going to do?" Doyan asked. "I am going to tell everyone," Leary said. "Every species in the galaxy, every ally, every enemy, every neutral observer. I am going to expose what the Council has been planning. They will deny it. They can try. But I have proof, and I have something they do not have." "What is that?" A voice. Leary looked at him. "For 400 years, I have been the quiet princess. I did what I was told. I went where they sent me. I smiled at the right people and said the right things, but not anymore. It is time for the galaxy to hear what I really think." The warship arrived as the sun was setting. It was massive, a dark shape that blocked out the stars. It hung above the small town of Sako like a storm cloud, silent and threatening. People ran into their homes. Cars stopped on the roads. The whole town held its breath. A transmission came through every communication device on Earth, every phone, every computer, every television. A voice spoke in perfect Korean, perfect English, perfect every language. "This is Admiral Vorath of the Valari Empire. We are here for Princess Leary. She has violated Imperial law by leaving her post without permission. She will return to face judgment. Any interference will be considered an act of war against the Valari Empire." Doyan stood beside Leary on the beach. The same beach where they had reunited, the same sand, the same waves. But now there was a warship in the sky. "Are you ready?" he asked. Leary nodded. She pressed a button on her device. Her face appeared on every screen in Sako. Then every screen in Korea. Then every screen on Earth. Then every screen in the galaxy. Every ship, every station, every planet that received galactic broadcasts saw her face. "My name is Leary," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I am the princess of the Valari Empire. For 400 years I have served my people with loyalty and obedience. But today I must speak a truth that my own government has tried to hide. Admiral Vorith's voice broke through. Princess, stop this immediately. You are making a terrible mistake, Leary continued, as if he had not spoken. The Valari High Council has been debating the fate of Earth. Some want to harvest this planet for resources, leaving its people to die. Others want to make humans into slaves, serving the Empire forever. They have kept these plans secret from the galaxy. They have lied about their intentions. They have used me as a puppet to hide their true nature. On the warship, Admiral Voroth gave orders to cut the transmission. But Lyri's technology was older and stronger than anything they had. The broadcast continued. I have evidence of everything I am saying. I am sharing it now with every allied species, every neutral observer, every corner of the galaxy. Look at these files. Look at the communications. Look at what my own council has been planning. Data streamed across 1 million screens. Conversations between council members. Plans for invasion. Maps showing how Earth would be divided. Lists of resources to be taken. Reports on how many humans could be used as workers. The galaxy watched in silence. Leary looked directly at the camera. Her violet eyes seemed to burn. For 400 years, I believed our civilization was superior. We mastered technology. We conquered death. We mapped the stars. But we forgot something important. Something this primitive species still remembers. She reached out and took Do-Yan's hand. He stepped into view beside her. A simple human man, standing next to the princess of the most powerful empire in existence. We forgot how to love, Leary said. We forgot how to sacrifice. We forgot how to hope. This human taught me what my own people could not. He gave up everything to protect me. To protect his world, not because he had to. Not because someone ordered him to. But because that is what humans do. They care. They feel. They fight for what they believe in, and squeezed her hand. He did not know what to say, so he said nothing. He just stood beside her, a quiet human in a storm of galactic politics. I will not let you destroy his world, Leary said, looking up at the warship. I will not let you turn his people into slaves, and I will not return to be your puppet princess. Admiral Vorth's voice was cold. This is treason. You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we will take action. Then take action, Leary replied. But know this, the whole galaxy is watching. Every choice you make will be seen by everyone. If you attack Earth, you attack under the eyes of 1 billion worlds. If you try to take me by force, everyone will see you do it. Then she said something that would be remembered for 1,000 years. The Valari Empire has always said that humans are primitive, too young, too emotional, not worth our attention. But today, a human showed more honor than our entire council. He sacrificed his happiness, his future, his love, to protect others. Can any of you say the same? The warship hung in the sky, silent. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Across the galaxy, species began to react. Allied civilizations demanded explanations. Neutral observers called for investigations. Even rival empires expressed shock at what they had seen. The Valeri's reputation, built over thousands of years, was crumbling. Admiral Vorath received new orders from the council. They told him to return immediately. There was nothing he could do now. The damage was done. The warship turned and disappeared into the darkness of space. Leary fell to her knees on the sand. The strength that had held her up was finally gone. Do-Yan knelt beside her and held her close. You did it, he whispered. You stopped them? For now, she said. But this is not over. This is just the beginning. Above them, the stars came out one by one. The same stars that humans had looked at since the beginning of time. The same stars that Leary had watched for 400 years. But tonight, they looked different. Tonight, they looked like hope. The people of Sako slowly came out of their homes. They looked at the 2 figures on the beach. The strange woman with silver hair. The quiet man who fixed fishing nets. They did not understand what had happened. But they understood that something important had changed. The world would never be the same. The months that followed were chaos. The Valari Empire was thrown into crisis. The secret files Leary had released caused an earthquake in galactic politics. Every species that had trusted the Valari now questioned that trust. Every alliance was suddenly uncertain. Every deal was being reviewed. The High Council tried to control the damage. They said the files were fake. They said Leary had been corrupted by human emotions. They said she was sick in the mind and needed help. But no one believed them. The evidence was too clear. The truth was too obvious. One by one, the factions that had planned Earth's fate began to fall. Investigations were launched. Council members were arrested. Secrets that had been hidden for centuries were dragged into the light. Admiral Voreth was recalled to face charges. He had failed to bring back the princess. He had been seen retreating from a primitive world. His career was destroyed. And in the middle of all this chaos, Leary was summoned back to face the council. But this time, she did not go alone. A delegation from 12 alien species traveled with her. They had been impressed by her courage. They had been moved by her speech. They wanted to see what would happen when the princess returned to face her people. Do-Yan went too. He was not allowed to speak at the council meeting. He was just a human after all. But he was there, sitting in the audience, watching the woman he loved fight for her future. The council chamber was huge and cold. White walls stretched up to a ceiling so high it was lost in shadow. The council members sat in a half-circle, their ancient faces unreadable. They had ruled the Valari for thousands of years. They were not used to being challenged. Leary stood before them in simple white robes. Her silver hair was loose around her shoulders. Her violet eyes were calm. She looked nothing like the quiet princess they remembered. She looked like a queen. "You have caused great harm to this empire," the head counselor said. His name was Tharos, and he was very old. "You have exposed our secrets. You have damaged our reputation. You have allied yourself with primitives." "I've told the truth," Leary replied. "If the truth damages our reputation, then our reputation was built on lies. You speak of truth." Tharos leaned forward. "But what is truth?" "The truth is that the Valari have protected the galaxy for 10,000 years. We have kept peace. We have advanced science. We have done things no other species could do. And now you want to enslave humans. Harvest their world? Take everything they have." Leary's voice was sharp. "Is that protection? Is that peace? They are primitives. Their lives are short. Their knowledge is small. They do not matter in the larger picture. They matter to me." Tharos laughed. It was not a warm sound. "Ah, yes. You're human. The engineer? You have let emotions cloud your judgment. This is exactly why we removed emotions from our species. They make us weak." "You think emotions make us weak?" Leary stepped forward. The guards moved, but she raised her hand to stop them. "Let me tell you what I've learned about emotions." She turned to face the chamber. The watching delegates, the recording devices, the whole galaxy waiting for her words. 3 years ago, I met a human named Park Do-Yan. He was nothing special, just an engineer. He fixed broken machines. But he taught me something that 400 years of Valari education never did. He taught me that emotions are not weakness. They are strength. When he discovered your plans for Earth, he did not fight. He did not scream. He did not try to save himself. He simply left. He disappeared. He gave up everything he had so that I would be safe, so that his people would be safe. He carried that pain alone for 3 years, never telling anyone, never asking for help. Just hoping that his sacrifice would mean something is not weakness. That is the strongest thing I have ever seen." The chamber was silent. Even Tharos had no response. "Humans cry," Leary continued. "They laugh. They love and hate and dream and hope. They feel everything so deeply that sometimes it breaks them. But they keep going. They pick up the pieces and try again, and again, and again. That is what makes them dangerous. Not their weapons, not their technology, but their stubborn, beautiful refusal to give up. Their ability to hope even when hope makes no sense." She looked directly at Tharos. We removed emotions because we were afraid of them. We thought we were becoming stronger, but we were becoming weaker. We lost the thing that makes life worth living. We became machines of logic, calculating and cold and empty. Look at us now. We have power. We have technology. We have everything except a reason to use it. We have forgotten why we built our empire in the first place. She pointed at Dojan, sitting quietly in the audience. That man reminds me. Every day he reminds me what it means to be alive. Not just existing, not just surviving, but truly living. The silence stretched on. Then one of the watching delegates stood up. She was from a species called the Miravi, allies of the Valari, for centuries. The princess speaks truth, the Miravi delegate said. We have seen your files. We have seen your plans. The Valari have lost their way. But perhaps there is still time to find it again. Other delegates stood. One by one, they voiced their support for Lyri. Not all of them. Some still sided with the council. But enough. Enough to change the balance? Theros looked around the chamber. He saw which way the wind was blowing. He was old enough to know when a battle was lost. What do you want? He asked Lyri. I want to rule, she said simply. I want to lead our people in a new direction. I want to end the plans for Earth. I want to recognize humans as equals. And I want to prove that emotions do not make us weak. They make us whole. The vote took 3 days. There were arguments. There were threats. There were deals made in dark rooms. But in the end, the result was clear. Lyri would become empress. The old council would remain, but with reduced power. New reforms would be introduced, and Earth would be officially recognized as an independent world, protected by galactic law. It was not a perfect victory. Many in the Valari Empire still hated her. Many still thought emotions were weakness, but it was a beginning. On the day of her coronation, Lyri wore robes of silver and white. A crown of crystal sat on her head. She looked beautiful and powerful and ancient and new all at once. But when she walked to her throne, she stopped. She turned and looked at the audience. Her eyes found Doyan. Come here, she said. Doyan was shocked. This was not part of the ceremony. But he stood and walked forward. Every eye in the chamber followed him. A human, a primitive. Walking to stand beside the new empress. This man saved my life, Lyri said to the watching crowd. He saved his planet. He saved our empire from making a terrible mistake. And he did it with nothing but his heart. She took his hand. From this day forward, Park Doyan will serve as Earth's ambassador to the Valari Empire. He will stand beside me. He will remind us what we have forgotten. And he will show the galaxy what humans can do. The chamber erupted. Some cheered. Some were silent with shock. Some shook their heads in disbelief. But Doyan did not care about any of them. He only saw Lyri looking at him with those violet eyes that had captured his heart so long ago. Is this real? He whispered. It is real, she said. All of it. Stay with me, Doyan. Stay with me forever. Forever is a long time for a human. She smiled. That beautiful smile that had changed his life. Then we will make every moment count. 1 year later, they returned to SOK show. The beach was the same. The sand, the waves. The sunset painting the sky in colors that no artist could copy. The old noodle shop was still there. The fishing boats still floated in the harbor. But everything had changed. Earth was different now. It was no longer alone in the universe. Ships from a dozen species visited every week. Trade agreements were signed. Knowledge was shared. Humanity took its first steps into a larger world. The Valari were different too. Slowly, carefully, some of them were learning to feel again. It was hard, painful. Many of them failed, but some of them succeeded. And those ones discovered what Lyri had found, that emotions were not a curse. They were a gift. Doyan and Lyri sat on the beach watching the sun go down. Her head rested on his shoulder. His arm wrapped around her waist. They did not need to speak. After everything they had been through, silence was enough. Leary finally said, "Yes. Do you remember what I asked you when I found you? That first night on this beach? You asked me why I left you." "Yes." She looked up at him. "Do you have a better answer now?" Doyan thought about it. He thought about all the pain, all the loneliness, all the nights he had spent wondering if he made the right choice. "I left because I loved you," he said. "I left because I could not bear to see you hurt. I left because humans do stupid things when they are scared and in love." He turned to look at her. "But I will never leave again. I promise you that. No matter what happens, no matter who tries to separate us, I will stay beside you until my last breath." Leary smiled. Tears sparkled in her violet eyes, but they were happy tears. "The good kind. Then never leave me again, human." "Never," he promised, and he kept that promise. For all the years that followed, through wars and peace, through triumphs and failures, through everything the universe threw at them, a human and an alien, two hearts from different worlds, bound together by something stronger than logic, stronger than power, stronger than time itself. They called it love, and it was enough.